But we got to see AI Gentleman in action in Ashes with voiceover for these quest givers. I'm gonna open that can. You guys just take it where you want.
It's a good can. It's a good can to open that we could sync an entire show into talking about the AI. I think that where they're headed is a very good place, and Steven even mentioned it. Like, they're using the voices of the people who are building the game, which I think is absolutely incredible for them to do. He also did say that they're working on some of the different voice inflections and stuff so that it sounds a little more natural, because there were certain spots where it wasn't natural, and you could see where like the text was put in for it to maybe be a dwarf talking, but what was coming out was, you know, when I was a child, me pa, as opposed to when I was a child, me pa. You know, like that kind of thing. You know, those different voice iterations.
That was his name. It was Meepaw.
Meepaw, just
like Mimi,
just like Meemaw. But you can tell that that the text is in place, but they haven't quite gotten the voice inflections correct. But if that's how the game launches and it's like that, I'm totally willing to listen to it and be like, "Yep, they'll fix this in time." Because I am so excited that there is some voice acting in the game. I think that is fantastic.
Yeah. Man, JB, I mean, you can speak to this, but like the difference between a game that we've played with voice acting and a game where you don't have any voice acting in the MMO education and history that you have had playing many MMOs, how important on a scale of 1 to 10 is having actual voice acting in an MMO?
I didn't realize how much I loved it until I had it. And when I had it, and even when I was playing classic era World of Warcraft and someone made this add-on for this exact thing, I went back. That's when it hit me. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And it just brings a deeper level of immersion into the game. And Cash and I were in the private chat channel when you were streaming, Sonny, and we were screaming. We hopped in your channel while you were streaming. We're screaming, you know, like I was just through the moon excited for this. And even in its infant state with the AI,
through the moon.
What did I say?
Yeah, it's an interesting path, but that's fine.
Oh, through the moon or over the moon? Yeah. So Midwest, we do that here.
Oh, over the moon.
You'll hear that a lot when you get out of the state that's falling off the planet. So, long story short, I just loved it, man. I really did. And I didn't realize how important it was to me until I've had it. You know, I had a taste of the glory and it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was important. And I'd be willing to accept even some games do this where you get, like, for example, I'm playing Tropico right now just for fun while I'm killing time before this whole thing launches. And Tropico does a thing where they have the character voice the first couple lines of the whole piece of text. They don't voice the whole thing, right? They just do the first line or two, and then you can read the rest if you want. But it still makes an enormous difference in you understanding and getting into the mindset of that character. And Tropico is a sort of a fun, cartoony sort of game. But if you're going to do that with an MMO, even if you have them say the first little bit, like, oh, my kid, you know, he went out to do this and he fell down the well, and then there's more detail, I would even accept that. It'd be nice if they did the whole thing, but, you know, sometimes there's a lot of information, and the reason why they're doing this is undoubtedly to save money and probably like space. Maybe like doing it with an AI is easier on space, but it's definitely less labor intensive than having actors and actresses come in. And then if you want to change something, you just change it, and that's it. You want to add something, you just add it, and that's it. You don't have to bring Cat Tabor back into the studio. You don't have to do anything like that. And so I get it. The can of worms, Cash, is that you're not paying people like Cat Tabor. Cat Tabor doesn't get a job out of this, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I agree there. And the one thing that I did want to say too is, you know, to your Tropico point, another game that's like that is Lord of the Rings Online. And Lord of the Rings Online does like that. They say the first line, and every single time I'm like, don't stop, just keep talking. I'm loving this, my immersion. And then they stop. I'm like, no, I got to read, which is fine. And I would be totally happy with that too. But more is always better. And obviously it's more labor intensive to do that, even if they're using AI. But it does beg the question, and, you know, maybe we can touch on it because it's a huge topic. Is using AI in video games too much? Does it take too much away from the folks who do it professionally and are paid and their livelihood is based upon it?
I guess the initial thing that I will say is this: there is no game in the history of gaming, maybe from now until 100 years from now, that will cost as much as making an MMO. It is so far and away the most expensive undertaking that any studio will ever go into, that I think that you just have to have cost saving measures wherever you can get them. And this is one of those things. But man, we're talking like a AAA studio that comes out with a Star Wars game. That is a big deal. But a studio that comes out with an MMO, you are on the ballpark of $500 million to make a game like this. Like, it is hard to wrap your brain around. And so the time and the difficulty in doing all this stuff, if you're telling me that there's a way that I can get that next level of immersion and have the game actually not file bankruptcy, like, I will take it because